Hello everybody, welcome back to Space Pickle Designs and welcome to the messiest bead mat and work surface of the internet. So I don't have any fancy videos for you tonight or any tutorials, any polished tutorials, but I thought I would bring you to the mat and just kind of show you what I'm working on. Sometimes I just like to sit down and look at beads and think them through, play with them. And so I've had this bargain bead box for a while here and I've made a few pieces. I'm back from Boston now, so I have a few pieces to show you. And the first thing that I made was this guy right here. Let me move this out of the way so it doesn't confuse the camera. This guy right here, and I actually love this. And it's just a simple stretch bracelet with a little charm on it. I use some bead caps from my own stash, but you could definitely use the ones that came in the box. And I just used the 10mm beads here, and I put one of those triangle crystals in between. I hung one of the flower charms from a jump ring and just fed it on, and this is what she looks like. Now the gold, it's a lot for me. This color gold is really difficult for me to work with. I love the design, but the gold is pretty much screaming at me, so I'm not sure how much use I will actually get from this. Maybe if I get some regular gold bead caps that aren't this yellow, like even the ones that I buy are this yellow. It's not like a fault of the bargain bead box. I just prefer like this golden tone as opposed to that golden tone. So we'll see. But I love the design. And so I really like those triangle beads. I think they add a lot. The next one I made was to show off these 8mm dyed, I think they're like an agate. And again, I kind of did the 3, but I did the crystal and the spacer, or not the spacer, the bead cap. And then I put on the back end here those loud, obnoxious crystals. And this, I mean, it's okay to me. I probably won't wear this. This will just be a freebie that I give away. I actually like this a lot. I know it's really simple, but I just took like a little check flower bead that I had from my stash, and it has like orange and gold tones and like Aurora Borealis in it. And I just made a simple bicone crystal stretch bracelet here. And these are good for stackers. These kind of bracelets are like really popular right now. I guess it's like a Taylor Swift. I mean, they were popular when I was a kid, but I guess Taylor Swift has revived them or something. I don't really listen to her, but I do love the bracelets, so thank you for making those popular. But these are just some of those bicones because a lot of people find those difficult to work with. And then this one, I will be changing the clasp because as you can see, the gold tone is just way off. So this soft soldered pendant is in a nice, pretty gold tone, like a champagne gold. And once I get some different clasps in, I will change it out because I actually really like this bracelet. I just did simple little, the 8, the 6, so I did the 8mm agate, I think it is, and then the carnelian 8, and I made sure that there was a lot of variation to it, and so it kind of like brought out the variation in the pendant. And so I really like that. That obnoxious gold color is really kind of bothering me. And that's a clasp that I had from my own stash. So I do like the magnetic clasp on that. So hopefully I can find one in a nicer gold tone, but those are the bracelets that I've done. Let me put on my smiley face bracelet. This is one that I've been liking. I made these earrings from the Jesse James Beads mystery box for April, and I thought these were so cute. I'm not usually big on the like string tassels, but I really like these felt ones, and I think we can actually make some of these ourselves if we're interested in that. But I just did a simple little purple acrylic bead with a silver bead cap, and I'm really liking that clean silver look to these. Next up for the bargain bead box, actually this is kind of a crossover between Jesse James Beads and the bargain bead box. And so I did take some more of those purple flowers and the little birds from the box. And I just stacked them. I liked those rings in the box, and so I used those rings for a simple pair of earrings here. Again, incorporating one of the little orange beads. You gotta just kind of creep it in there, you know, either go all out and just have an orange bracelet, or just poke it out there here and there. And I really like that, the little pop of orange there. And then I brought in a different tone to the box. And again, I like this gold so much better. This gold just elevates a piece. So these pendants were actually from Bargain Bead Box or Bead Box Bargains. So the sister site, or we may have gotten them in a box, but that's from the same place. And they're soft soldered in that nice gold tone. And I used some German style gold wire here in 20 gauge to do the rest. And I just did a simple little stack with those crystals and the pink faceted cube beads. And then I just have some simple ear wires, and I really think that juxtaposition of the blue really brings out some of those tropical colors. And so, you know, we're looking at a few good pairs of earrings here. These are all freebies. With whenever I go places, I like to hand out free jewelry. So, like, you know, a lot of times people who like jewelry will comment on your jewelry. So if I'm wearing a pair of earrings that I made, and they're like, oh wow, I like your earrings, I'll just reach in my purse and I have a pre-packaged, like, you know, set of earrings that they can have. And it's just like to brighten somebody's day, you know. So what we're gonna do, I have the rest of this box, right? I'll zoom you out a little bit. And I could put these beads in my stash. I do have like a whole palette of 8mm gemstone beads that I use for stretch bracelets, as well as these like 10mm. But I think what I want to do is, and I've already kind of started on it. Now this is crazy. It's a little wild, but I've taken a few links of this crazy yarn, and here's the company that I got it from. So Felt Better on Etsy, okay? And they just take like recycled fabrics and sew them together into like a yarn. So I took like 3 or 4 kind of links of that and I doubled it up. I put these, the little oval connectors in there. I tied knots and I put them throughout. So I have 5 in total. This is gonna be the center of the necklace, right? And so I have 2 right here and 2 right here. And what I've done is, if you can see, is I have wrapped the length of this in a blue, this is probably like a 24 gauge wire, and I've put some of those orange bicones throughout for pops of color, and it's really messy. It's kind of the same technique that I did for the silver silk, and so I'll kind of just do this last little bit with you to kind of show you how I did it. And we're just gonna take a good length of wire here, and just get a spool tamer, y'all. Like, don't be crazy like and just like wing it. To get spool tamers, it'll save you some sanity. Thankfully, I don't do much like that requires a very smooth, precise wire, because I think I would actually go out of my mind. But yeah, get your spool tamers out. You know, they're pretty cheap. I know it's another tool, just another tool you can survive without, but just learn from me. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna move this box out of the way. I'm gonna make sure to get some of those orange bicones out. There we go. I usually have my spoon with me. I actually just ordered some really cool spoons, so we're gonna be spooning it up over here. So I'm just gonna anchor this wire. Again, we're not being precise. And I really love this green. I just picked out a section that I thought would be like very tropical. And so again, we just want to anchor it really well. I'm going to take my Xeron pliers, and here's the edge here, and I'm going to tuck that edge underneath the little bundle here. There we go. And so I'm gonna move down. So we have our strands here, lots of different colors, and we're just gonna wrap a little bit here. We kind of want to tame some of these little flyaways. Some of them are good. Obviously, you're not gonna get all of them, right? But you want to tame some of them. So I'm gonna feed on the bicone bead, bring it down. So we have our bead down to the work. And again, it's kind of just like that silver silk. We're just wrapping. Not doing anything special. This is gonna be a crazy piece. And I hope it turns out like it is in my mind, but you know, we won't know that until we get to the end. This is really just the base of the necklace. We're about to get kind of crazy. Again, I'm just kind of anchoring these. See how messy it is? That's what you want. For those of you that are like, precision is my piece, don't do this to yourself then. Just don't. Do not do it. Because this is like the wires all over the place. It's just something that, you know, you gotta just determine if the juice is worth the squeeze. Now, especially if you don't like crazy stuff on your chest either, because this is gonna be a crazy necklace. We're not even done with half the craziness. This is just the base of the craziness. So I'm just wrapping. More bicones. Bring them down. And we're getting close to the end here. But this is what I've done the entire length of the piece. And I love this yarn. I think it's so cool. And you can, what I thought about doing, but I'm not gonna do because I just want to relax, really, is what it is. But you could do this like 3 times separately, right? And then braid them together before you would start attaching the other beads. Because, I mean, it is a little bit thin for my liking, but I think we're going to be able to work with it after we get the rest of the beads on. And so, you see that we've made it down to the end here. I'm gonna put another bicone on. We actually don't have that many bicones left. Surprise, surprise. Got it down to the piece, and we have just a little bit extra here. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Let's go ahead and anchor this down really well. And I'm gonna cut off this piece, and I'm just gonna use these. Don't yell at me. Be gentle. And I'm gonna clip this off. Have a little excess piece there, that's okay. And I'm gonna find the edge. And again, we're going to tuck her. We're gonna Tanya tuck her down there underneath. All right, so what you wanna do now, run your fingers through the piece. Make sure she ain't hurting you. And we'll zoom back out. So, this is the base of the necklace. This is the middle, okay? Now, this is where we have to make some choices. And I did want to bring in some blue beads because I think this color blue, I'm just going to pick out the blues that I want. I want these like fake turquoise bead. Ooh, the mermaid beads, those are kind of fire too. We will pick out those. We'll put the crystals back. We don't need the crystals. Bead caps, don't need those. Leave the mermaids and the turquoise out because we like little pops of blue, and I think this kind of works with the I think that kind of looks good because we are going to add more of the beads from the bead box. So we definitely have some pink left. I don't know. I think we'll use, should we use some crystal or should we keep it kind of opaque? You know, we could actually wrap some of this in there too. Do we want to do that? I kind of want to. But let's make it easier on ourselves. Because I don't really use their chain for like, I don't know what to say, like anything serious, I guess. So let's use 4mm jump rings here. And this is how we're gonna do it. Okay, let's just start by attaching 4mm jump rings because this is, I kind of want this, I want the texture of the jump ring. So we're putting the jump ring on the blue wire and we're just gonna start attaching the chain. Gotta get a better grip on it. And this is actually gonna give us another little bit of texture, although, you know, it doesn't look like we need any more texture, but okay. All right, so we've got her anchored on, and I just kind of like that. And so what we can do, this is cool. I like this a lot. We just keep adding jump rings and making this crazy. Silence means I'm concentrating, sorry. Because the jump rings are kind of small. There's like lots of fibers in the way, but that's what makes it really cool. So we just have to deal with it. I think what I'm gonna do is take the pliers. Kind of difficult, y'all. There we go. So I hope your weekend treated you well. I'm just gonna continue doing this here. And we're gonna just have a good time and talk. And maybe down in the comments, you can tell me how your week was. I got to go to MIT this week, which was an insane experience. It's not something that I would have ever thought that I could have done. And the one thing that I liked about MIT to begin with, that wasn't an option for me. Like the tuition alone, no, you know, but I also didn't make the grades either. So, but to be able to go there and see like all these young people just killing it, it was crazy. Because it's like, I wish I had just, you know, that little bit of kind of like drive or like, I guess being sure of what you wanted to do that these kids have. And by I mean kids, they're like 25, right? But I got to do an AI workshop, which I've been using AI a lot in my work. I'm a computer person by trade anyway. And so, you know, you've probably been, even if you're not like a computer person, you've probably been using products that have been made on the basis of AI and machine learning and kind of learning really how that works from the perspective of these experts was just really cool. It's really fun to see somebody in their element and like thriving and just passionate, and it's like I'm just in awe of that. I think that's why I became a teacher, because I think I'm just in that part of my life where it's just not about me anymore. I think when I was like a young airman, I really was like, I wanted to be the best. I wanted to, I don't know, just show everybody that I could be good at something, I guess. And, you know, I did pretty good. The Air Force gave me a lot of opportunities, but it's just not about me anymore. You know, I'm getting old in the military. Let me clarify. I'm getting old in the military. It's really not about me. It's my job now is to set up all those young people that were like me to succeed and be better than I was. That's what I want. Because I was not the best. I came into the military very emotionally immature, just winging it, I guess. And there's a lot of people coming in now that they have PhDs. Can you imagine that? Coming into the military with PhDs? I'm guessing the job market is just not that great, because either that or they just have like a really big sense of patriotism, because geez, you know, to have a PhD, you have 10 years of education, post high school education, and you come into the military. I mean, we're thankful because we need smart people. But yeah, it's my job now, and I get so much more joy now when I see people succeed that aren't me. Because I didn't find joy in that anyway. So it was just me trying to like figure myself out, I guess, really is what it was. But I never really found joy in that. My thing has always been kind of like, you know, setting people up for success. Because when I was in high school, I'm telling you, I had such a really difficult time learning. I just feel like the classroom environment at that time wasn't made for me. And it wasn't until like years later that I found out that, like, you know, I'm spectrum-y, so to speak. So any of my spectrum people out there, hello, how are you? How are you doing? Are you doing well? Are you thriving? But yeah, like I didn't even find out until my mid-30s that was me, and then everything made sense, right? And so, yeah, it's been a wild ride. A lot of women don't get diagnosed until later in life. I feel like that's getting better now, but a lot of I guess what it stemmed from initially was a lot of the studies done on autism were done on young boys. And, you know, it's, you know, expected to think that certain things would show up differently. They would express themselves differently in different genders. So there just wasn't a lot of data. So, you know, here we are. But, you know, knowing that is kind of like, yeah, it's done a lot for me. But it's also helped me like find a purpose. Like, hey, maybe I was just out there trying to prove myself so much because it was a struggle for me in school. And I know I wasn't like dumb, right? It was just like, I just had to find my own way in life. And so here I am. It's possible. But that also contributes to a lot of the reasons why like we do a lot of these hobbies that are like hyper focused. And, you know, there's a lot of like, I have like libraries full of useless knowledge. So I'm really good at trivia night. So if you want to invite me to trivia night, I'm really good at that. Because I have like useless knowledge you'll never need to know unless you're at a trivia night. But it's been a journey in finding myself and accepting who I am. Took till I was nearly 40, but you know, you can always discover things about yourself. You don't have to know everything right up front. But yeah, I do have a good job. whenever I see, it just kind of brings me back. I guess it's a little bit selfish if I'm thinking about it, because when I explain a concept in a way that I see people, like, they get a light on their face and they're like, oh, finally, like, I understand it now. Like, that to me tops everything, because it's like, I know how it felt to just not understand things, and it was like plain as day. People were explaining it, I guess, but it just in a different way that I just didn't understand. And so as it turns out, a lot of people in the Space Force are probably what we would call spicy brained. So it's kind of like, you know, I'm dealing with my own people, and I find it hilarious. So I'll tell you about one of my last classes. So in the Space Force, we're always telling people to, and just keep in mind when I'm talking about the Space Force, all opinions and, you know, views are of my own. They do not represent the Space Force at all. But I was teaching a lesson, and it was this case study, and this was this brand new case study, and I'm old school, right? Like, so I get the case study, I go through it, it's like 40 pages long. And you know, to be an instructor, you gotta know what you're teaching. So, like, I'm spending hours reading this case study, highlighting. I got my highlighters out. You know, I printed it out too, because I'm a very, like, tactile person. I printed it out, and I've written down, like, oh, questions that I want to ask, and, like, this is gonna be a good question. I'm really gonna zazzle them with this question. Like, yo, I was really thinking I was doing something, right? And so what was funny is that I leave them to read this. I'm telling you, it's like a 30-page case study. And we were running low on time. And I was like, hey, you got 20 minutes to read this. Knowing full and well, you cannot read this case study in that time. But, you know, sometimes stress is built into a curriculum. So I was just like, we're going to see what we're going to see. We're going to see what they're going to do. Tell me why. I come back in 20 minutes later, and they're already working on delivering the product. So what we were going to have them do next was, like, oh goodness, it was like create, I think it was like a SWOT chart. So if you've ever seen one of those, it's basically like strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And basically, like, when you're looking at your company or whatever, your brand or your project or whatever, like, what are some of your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Whatever. And tell me why they were already doing it. And I was like, ain't no way. And so I go in there and I'm like, absolutely not. Like, what is happening? And so, it wasn't like, there's no cheating, right? Because it's just an exercise. It's not like it was a test. And so I go in, and everybody's, like, acting like real suspect. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? And they're like, nothing, ma'am. And I'm like, oh, heck no. When they hit me with the ma'am, I know that they're up to something. And so I was like, no, really, like, okay, walk me through it then. And they were walking me through it, and it was right. And I was like, huh? Like, am I dumb? Like, I was so confused, right? And then I see this guy in the back, and he's, like, snickering. And I'm like, what is it? And I was like, did y'all cheat? I was just, I was joking with them. I was like, y'all cheated. And they're like, no, we didn't cheat. We didn't technically cheat. And I was like, what do you mean technically, right? So this guy's snickering in the back, and I keep my eye on him. That's part of the whole gig, right? Like, you got to keep an eye on him. And so when they were, like, explaining some of this stuff, I saw, like, him snicker again, and I beelined it for the back. He alt-tabbed, which, if you guys know, on a computer, if you alt-tab, and it, like, clears off, like, what you were looking at, it changes your desktop. And I was like, just show me what it is. And he's like, no. And I was like, I'm not going to get mad. I just want to see, right? And so he shows me, and it's the company. This was a real company for the case study, right? The company unbeknownst to me, because this is how old school I was, had put, this is like, I guess, a famous case study. They had put their whole analysis online. I guess like some firm came in, did the analysis, did the quad chart, did everything. And they even put it online. They put it on their website, like, this is how we improved our company and blah, blah, blah. You should try it. And I was like, are you serious? So basically what they were doing was like copying, pasting. But it's just an exercise, right? Like, it's not, like, it wasn't testable. And so when I saw that, it just showed me like the generation gap, I guess. Because to me, I was like just doing my duty. I was reading the case study. I was going through the thing. Yo, I started laughing. I started laughing so hard because I was like, they bamboozled me. Like, this shit's funny. And because like the Space Force were always like, use your tools, you know, use what you have with you, be agile, be quick, be smart. And here I am teaching these new guardians, and they bamboozle me. They just showed me up really bad, and I was like, I laughed. I was like, you know what? Like, that's good. In my opinion, I was like, you're not duplicating work. You were finding a way to do it quicker and still getting the point across. I don't know. They use AI to help them augment their work as well, which is like encouraged because that's the way of the future anyway. But anyway, I actually kind of like, I wouldn't say instructing is like being a character or anything, but I like broke character, so to speak, because I was so like, just the juxtaposition of like the younger generation as opposed to me. I was just like, I think we're in good hands. If they can, like, you know, they just look at problems way different than me, and I like it. I like them. I like the job. That's the best part of the job. Okay, y'all, so I just took a little break here, and I got out some materials that I think I want to use, and I think I'm actually going to use this as the pendant, the focal, okay? Because I think this is spicy enough for this guy. I was gonna use, here, I'll show you. I kind of like this zebra, but I don't really know. I was like kind of gonna use the zebra, but I think we need a bigger pendant, so this is what I'm gonna go with. And that is my soft flex pendant from last month, and I just couldn't bear to use it. So what we're just gonna do is just attach it with a 6mm jump ring. Easy peasy. Actually, I might do 2. If I can get 2 in there, I'm gonna do 2. Let's zoom you in here. We'll bring her up. If I can get 2 in there, I hope I can, because I don't want her falling off. What do you guys think about this project so far? Kind of crazy, huh? All right, can I get this in there without it looking funky? Oop, it looks good. It looks good. It looks good. It looks good. I just want the extra security because I really don't want to lose this pendant. I don't want to lose any of it, but so that's gonna be our little focal, and this is hanging off of a knot, and so if we need to, like, I think it's gonna be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. That's gonna look good. All right, so we have our chain throughout, which I really enjoy, and we have 2, like, you know, ovals throughout, and then 2 on the ends, and I'm gonna reserve these guys just for the clasp at the end, so don't worry about those. But I have a bunch of these 4mm jump rings, and these are from BB Craft. These are just some cheap little jump rings. Let's get them out. And they're in that bright gold tone, and so, like, for instance, I got like this bead mix here, and I got a bunch of like really cool beads. These are just like my random one-offs, and this is a perfect project for your bead mix. I also have a crystal bead mix. I'm not sure I want to go crystal. I'm not sure. I don't know. I think I want to keep, it's already so freaking crazy. You know what I mean? I don't think we need, I don't think we need extra. So I think we'll keep it to like basically our solid tones. So I have this little piece extra chain, and we're just gonna attach her because I don't want her to go to waste. This is a perfect little project. I love these things. I love these kind of projects because we just like, we use everything that we got. And so I kind of want it up front. So I'm gonna attach it to this link here. And since this is enamel on both sides, it doesn't matter how it goes. I would like for it to stay on the jump ring though. It's just hard with these really tiny jump rings. Here we go. But the daintiness is kind of like what's giving. So we'll put it on the end of this guy. And the thing is, if it's a little baggy, like it's not extremely tight to, see, it has a little bit of a jump ring itself. I'm going to take that off. Let's cut that off. I don't need that extra guy here. All right. It kind of adds to it because it's more texture. Like we need more texture, but all right. So let's get this guy on. There's a little hole at the end there. So since I told you guys a story, you better tell me a story down in the comments. I always love hearing from you. That's really why I do it. I do it because of the people, not because I want to be like a famous jewelry designer. That's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's just fun to share experiences and stories and share art. So this is kind of cool. So this is what I mean. Like it's not super close to the piece, but that the bagginess kind of gives it movement. And so what we're gonna do, I have like these, they're low quality head pins. They're really hard. And I'm gonna use these tassels too. I think this is a perfect place to use my tassels. So we're just gonna add them throughout. Again, I'm using the 4mm jump ring. They already have jump rings on them. Let's make this so fun. I've been doing super extra jewelry lately. If you guys saw my tutorial for the Soft Flex, the Soft Flex box for the bracelet, the Cha-Cha bracelet, psh, can't nobody tell me that wasn't fun. You can't tell me that wasn't fun. I want to put this one closer to the pendant because I really liked this silver. I really like this silver tassel. I don't know. There's just something about it. I think it's the sheen. You want to really make sure that these are on because you don't want to lose your pieces. But it's kind of tough with all the fibers and everything in there. That's where I just kind of use my pliers to crimp them on. You could really use a 6mm for this, and I have some, but I'm kind of just, I want to use the small ones. I think more so because I never use the small ones. Okay. I think I need another pair of the Zeron pliers. They would be especially good for this type of work, like the detail work. And we'll put this tassel up here somewhere. Let's put her down here. And again, you don't have to like put it always on the chain. Like this one, I'm gonna put on the blue wire. think it looks really good. And I think I'm gonna actually add the blue ones too. Where'd those go? Did I lose them? Okay, here we go. I just like that color, and again, that's like the color that we kind of wanted to add. So those look good. And we want to kind of keep them more towards the front half of the necklace. And again, mixed metals is fine. Mixed metals is fine. Obviously, it doesn't look like we have a rhyme or reason to this necklace. But it's gonna come out really cool, for sure. I'm gonna put this one a little higher up on the other side, closer to this ring. So, we got some, we got some tassels. Look at the tassels. Those look really cool. I'm loving this so much. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's turning out better than I thought it would. And I thought it would turn out pretty good. Let me go ahead and get some gold seed beads. All right, so we got a mix here. This is from, excuse me, I have the hiccups. This is from an estate sale box from eBay. And so all we're gonna do here is just make sure that these beads can stay, because I want to kind of use these crazy ones. I remember getting those in a soft flex box a while ago. Thought they were so cool, but it has a huge hole, right? So we kind of want to make sure. I'm just gonna use a little gold bead here. And do we have, let's keep it simple with this one. Okay, we'll keep it simple. Now these are super hard jump rings. They're from BB Craft, like I said, and it's just like, if you're a beginner, do not, I've said this many times, don't use these. I know they're cheap, don't, because you're gonna get frustrated. Use some good head pins, and then once you have your technique down, just, you know, go with the cheaper ones, because I swear, it ain't it. Like, and I have carpal tunnel in my right hand pretty bad, to where like my thumb goes numb and everything else, and it's just not it. So this is where we get to have fun. And this is gonna take me a couple days. So this is Sunday. I bet I won't get this up until probably Tuesday, I would expect. But this is what we're doing. And this is a great way to use up your, you know, your bead mixes. You know, you have lots of boxes, and then you have like a couple, like this. Let's just take some of these out, because I think these greens, this pastel green, that's gonna look fire. So let's get some of those out. Because you get like these bead boxes. I use the heck out of this box, right? And I still had a bunch of these rondelles left. And let me get my spoon. Look at that spoon. Look at that scoop. That was satisfying. You can't say that wasn't satisfying. And I think I'm gonna forgo those. I kind of want an opaque look to this. And so, like, that's all you gotta do. It's a great way to use those like onesies, twosies. You got your cheap head pins. This wouldn't be a good one to use your good head pins on, because, you know, you're gonna go through a lot of them. So I got this box, and it has probably like over 1,000 head pins in it, and it was like $10. So once you get your head pin skills up, get those cheap ones for projects like this only, to where you know it's costume. Like, there's no chance it's a fancy piece. And just use them up like that, because that's what I do. For my other ones, like my earrings and all that, I will use the soft flex head pins, because I just want a better quality. They're easier to work with. It's more enjoyable. You're not wrecking your hands with those. And, you know, it's an American company and they're good people. So definitely buy from your small businesses when you can. It's really important because we want them to be around. And so even though Softflix sends me things, I like to go try to buy, you know, I like to buy a lot of stuff. I use a lot of their stuff in my jewelry making prior to them even like reaching out to me, because I was just like, you know, a baby YouTube channel, but they've always treated me like I was important, and you know, that's just nice sometimes because everyone is important. I hope you don't mind this kind of free-form video. Just had like a long week, you know. And sometimes when you're doing YouTube, you feel pressure to like create this perfect product and like this revolutionary thing. And you're like, a lot of this stuff has been done before many times. And to me, it's not about me being unique. It's just about the community and like finding people who like to make jewelry too. And so that's what I'm here. I've always struggled with it, but I want to keep this simple. I kind of want to do a silver bead on this guy. And a lot of times these like really cheap head pins are thick boys. So you won't be able to get a lot of your like seed beads on them. Ooh, I got lucky on that one. I am liking the difference, you know, the different metals on here, because I'm using some silver seed beads, and that's kind of like what's providing a little bit of flash. And so, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do for probably the next, you know, I'm not even gonna lie to you, probably 2 days. I'm just gonna sit here, make tassels, attach them, reassess, see where it needs more, and that's the whole necklace. I will come back to you when I'm done adding charms, and we will add the clasp together, and we will take a look at how it looks on the bust. So anyways, I hope you had a good weekend and start to the week. And yeah, I'll see you in a couple days. Well, it'll be just a second for you, but it'll be a couple days for me. All right, everybody, it's the next day. I spent a couple hours making and attaching these dangles to the necklace, and it's looking pretty full and luscious and cool. And so all I have left is to do the clasp, and I wanted there to be a chunky clasp. Originally, I wanted to have a giant lobster claw, and I just don't have any, so I'm gonna have to make an order for giant lobster claws because I just like them. But we're gonna use a giant toggle instead, and I brought out some jump rings. I kind of wanted to make sure we had some like really tough jump rings here, and so I am just going to start attaching these. What I want is to put like the smaller one. This is just for the bar. You can use whatever closure you want. Obviously, this project is really essentially made for your scraps. And so let's see if this fits on the bar, and it does. The test is going to be to see if this is going to go through the ring on the other side. And so we'll give it a test before we move on. We may have to adjust, and that's why I have this ring closure on the other side here. Close this. And, you know, the chunky clasp just kind of lends to the whole thing here. So, all right, it fits perfectly. And so we have our clasp on here. It's a big, giant, chunky guy. And let's just zoom you in. Here is our necklace. And let's zoom in a little bit so we can get a look at the details. So here's the pendant area. I went around, I had not put enough wire to hang enough dangles on here, so I just went in and added a little bit more of that blue wire. I think it's like a 26 gauge, 24, 26 gauge. And then yeah, I just kept putting it on the bust, and I identified areas that it looked a little not full. And I went through my bead soup and the bargain bead box, and I just kept adding and adding and adding. As you can see, there's like a ton, right? But look, like we still have this many beads. I still haven't gone through the whole strand of those tangerine bicones. I don't think that strand will ever end. That's just one strand. I've made a whole bracelet. Yeah, so we've got a lot of beads here. This is a bead heavy month. I'm not complaining at all, because those little crystals are just gonna go in my crystal bead soup. And so yeah, here we go. I tapered it on the way up here because around the back of the neck you don't need dangles, and it's a little more irritating than it is functional. And then I just put that toggle on. And so now what I'm gonna do is clear this off. I'm gonna put her on a bust, and we're gonna take our last final look before we say goodbye. Alright, so apologies up front for the shaky cam, but here's what she looks like on a bust. And is that not just the most fun necklace ever? You definitely have a lot of movement going on, a lot of fibers. Just zoom in a little bit. A lot of texture. This is a great way to use up your extra little teeny pieces of chain. And I'm really glad that I added a couple of the Dalmatian Jasper beads. I really like a black and white contrast when it deals with a lot of colors. So that's just a little tip from me. But yeah, this is a way that you can use those tangerine bicones as well, to where it's like not so loud in your face. You kind of pair it with something else that's equally as loud. And so yeah, let me go ahead and close out here, guys. Thanks for hanging in there with me on this long form tutorial. Let me know if you like these. If not, I'll keep it to a minimum. Just let me know down below. You're not going to hurt my feelings either way. Well, maybe just a little bit, but it'll be all right. We'll grow from it. All right, so I hope everyone's staying safe and well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.